Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making one that I've never made before, elderberry blueberry mini hand pies. So let's get going. Alright, so I've done this crust before when I've done the apple pie, and it's a really simple butter crust, and if you have a food processor it makes it that much simpler. If you're doing it by hand it's a little bit harder, but we're going to add in 1.5 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. We're just going to give that a quick mix. Then we're going to add in 2.5 sticks of very cold butter, and I put mine in the freezer for about 15 minutes before I used it, so it's very nice and cold. And we're just going to slice it in about 1 tablespoon pats and just throw them in. Then next we're going to mix this up until it's a really nice coarse texture. Alright, so that's what it should look like, very coarse. And then we're going to throw in our remaining 1 cup of flour. And mix it up once more. Alright, then I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons of ice cold water, making sure that we don't get the ice into our mixture. So I'm just going to start off with a couple, and I'll probably throw the third one in at the end. Alright, yeah, that's good. See how you can pinch it and it sticks together, but it's not sticking to my fingers, so that is what we want. Alright, so I put my mat out and I just sprinkled some flour on top, and we're just going to dump everything right on top. And we're going to form this into one big ball and then split it into 2. So because I want these to be roughly the same size, I'm going to use my scale. It's not necessary, you can eyeball it, but I just like to use my scale. Oh, those are almost perfect, so yay. So now we're just going to make them into 2 flat discs. Like that. And we're going to wrap them up with plastic wrap and put them in the fridge for about an hour so that the dough has time to rest and the butter has time to harden back up again. So we want that butter nice and cool, because if the butter's not cold and it starts to melt when you're working with it, the dough just becomes really difficult to work with and it starts sticking and it's just a nightmare. So that is why you would like your dough to be chilled beforehand. So as I said before, I have never actually made this recipe before. I'm just kind of winging it. So if it turns out good, you will see this video. If it doesn't turn out good, then I'm just talking to myself. But I decided that instead of doing a crust on top of these little mini pies I'm going to do a crumble. So I have 3/4 cup of flour, 1/4 cup brown sugar, 1/4 cup granulated sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm just going to mix that up so it's all combined. Okay. And then I have a 1/4 cup or a 1/2 stick of butter that I have melted. We're just going to put that in here and we're just going to mix it up. Okay. So that's what it looks like. It kind of looks like, the consistency of brown sugar or something like that, a little bit drier. And that's basically all we want because we're going to sprinkle that on top. Now I'm going to combine everything else, and like I said, this is kind of made up, so hopefully it works. But I did about 1.5 cups of the elderberries, and elderberries are quite bitter. So I'm going to throw those in, and I have 2 cups of blueberries. Throw those in. And then I did 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Sprinkle that on top. 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And I did about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, which will hopefully help thicken this all up. As well as an entire cup of sugar, because those elderberries are so bitter, you really need a lot of sugar. We're just gonna give this a good mix up. Alrighty, we're just gonna set this to the side while we roll out our pie dough. Okay. So I'm just gonna work on one at a time. And because I did 2, what would be like the top and bottom half of a normal sized pie, this will make about 24 smaller cupcake sized pies, which they're lovely to give out as gifts, or if you don't want like a huge piece of pie, you just have this little cupcake one. Rolling pin, that's helpful. We're just gonna be very patient with this. It's very cold. Alright, so I have a muffin tin here, and I'm just gonna spray it with some of that spray that's the cooking oil with flour built in. If you have flour and butter, that works just as well. This is just slightly faster. And I have it's like a 4-inch ring. It's actually for fondant, but I use it for pastry because it works perfectly. Stick them right into the edge of this pan. So this one right here, it's a little bit thick, so I'm just gonna re-roll it out. You don't want it super thick. And then recut it. There we go. You can just kind of feel the difference. I don't know if you can really see the difference. But this is about what you would want if you're rolling out your crust for a regular pie, where you want it a bit thin, where you kind of see through it, but not so thin that it tears. So now that we got these all assembled, we're going to throw them into the oven on the medium rack. We're going to put them in at 425 for 16 to 20 minutes. We'll see how it goes. So these are straight out of the oven. They look, smell, and taste amazing because I had a little sample. You have to let these cool completely, well, not completely, but at least 15 minutes or so. That way the shell has time to kind of harden up, because if you try to take it out right away, the shell will just crumble. See, they're nice and cool. I can touch them. I mean, they're still warm, but they're okay. The ones that spilled over, like this one spilled over, it like kind of, it's like it cements or glues itself to the side of the pan, so they're actually quite difficult to get out. So if you just don't fill them up all the way to the top and do a good healthy coating of the crumble that we stuck on top, yours should turn out a little bit better than mine did. A couple did fall apart, so I got to have a little taste ahead of time, but as you can see, like, these ones fell apart a little bit when I was trying to take them out because they were really stuck to the side. But yeah, so I think these were a hit. And if you just want to do one big pie instead of 24 individual ones, it would work just the same. You know, put the bottom layer of the pie on, put your filling on the inside, put the top layer of your pie on, do a little egg wash to make it nice and golden, throw it in the oven, and I would get at a lower temperature, about maybe 350, 375, for probably closer to 50 minutes. with a check on it at like the 30-minute mark to make sure it's not getting too brown. And yeah, this pie just turned out really, really wonderful. So thumbs up. And if you like it and you want to see more pastries and baked goods from me, please like and subscribe below. Have a great day, everybody. I also have to give a thanks out to my dad who gave me the elderberries. He hand-picked them and de-stemmed them, which is probably no fun. So I hope you like this recipe, Dad, and thanks for the elderberries.